Good afternoon from Cognitive Finance. I'm Sarah from we.CONECT, and I'm here with René Konings from Credit Suisse. Thank you for joining me for the interview here.
Thank you for having me.
And could you please shortly describe your professional background?
Yes, I started off as a management traineeship at Rabobank International. Actually, Rabobank is also presenting here today. I had a 2 years background of fully trained finance and IT. And I worked there for 5 years. Then I became a contractor. I've been all around the world doing projects, mainly in the back office sphere. And I think 5 years ago, I switched actually to a more program management background for cognitive and RPA, and it was actually based on RPA. And there I helped to set up the business automation solutions for Credit Suisse. And that's now what I'm doing already for a couple of years, quite successful, I have to say.
Credit Suisse is at the forefront of digitalization when it comes to wealth management industry. Would you like to explain a bit more as which processes Credit Suisse has already automated and in which stage are you now at the automation journey?
It's a nice question. I think the very strong point of Credit Suisse is that we have a federated approach. That means that we don't have a central implementation of RPA. We have a center of excellence in which we enable all the divisions to do RPA, but in each and single division projects pop up. So to say, what have we already done? I think on all the fronts we are busy with digitalization, automation and RPA. And that delivers quite a nice bunch of examples. But you're saying we're quite on the front row, having over 650 RPAs at the moment, which means really independent running robots. So we're not talking about task automation, we really talk about process automation here at Credit Suisse.
So you briefly explained, so you're having, how do you govern the automation process? You're having the center of excellence, but it's enabling...
We have indeed a federated approach.
Approach, yes.
But we have also an operating model around that. So what we try to do on the governance part is to focus how could we enable, but also secure for the divisions that they're doing it well. And there I think it's important that we developed a policy within the Credit Suisse, which clearly states what are the roles and responsibilities, and also states what RPA is, because RPA is always a technique which falls between end-user computing and IT application, and nobody knows really sure what to do with it. We really formalize that in the form of a policy. From that you can create guidelines, and there you get your entire governance built around. And we also have a central RPA governance board, which secures some of the KPIs we then have established.
What were the key factors regarding your success with the automation projects?
I think that was the luck that we went from a factory setup to a decentralized setup, because that made us scale. In the beginning we started as a central RPA factory, and that limited us hugely, also because of not only about the funding, but also the prioritizations. What are you going to do? What are the things you do first? That was turned around when the organization changed, and our CEO did that. They went from a one-bank strategy to a federated strategy with separate divisions, and then the divisions could develop their own methodologies, their own way of bringing it. And it's not really methodologies, because they have to obey to the policy and the standards and guidelines, but they can find their own optimal way to deliver these automations by means of using implementation partners, by means of doing it themselves. Maybe they had their own staff being trained to do it, and that was very, very effective at the end. And that made us build quite quickly. That also ensures, that federated approach, that we can maintain such a large number of bots. A discussion here today is also, how can I maintain a bot farm larger than 100? Yeah, we have 650. How are you going to do that? That's only possible with a federated approach, because they all have their own support contracts with the vendors or have another arrangement to maintain this bot farm.
Has there been any major challenges or obstacles on this journey?
I think there are always challenges. What we see is, first challenge that we had is, how do you position RPA? Is it what we already talked about the policy? Is it end user computing? Do I let it free? Now, our management doesn't like that, because you create technical depth, you create a huge bot farm which is not maintainable, so you need to govern that and have some guidelines around that. And from that, creating the policy, we overcame that challenge, I must say. Second challenge is, of course, how can you maintain in a way that the underlying systems, which a robot normally use, also are part of that entire context. Because when they change, the robot needs to change, and you need to know that. That's what we did with an inventory. Actually, we use a fixed inventory, which we already had. So each robot is registered, has a mapping with the underlying system, and then the rest of the bank's processes causes that they have then to contact the robot owner when they change something in the underlying system, and then the robots can be maintained.
And this morning you hosted a keynote entitled RPA as part of a bigger picture, arguments for a holistic approach to automation at Credit Suisse. Could you please briefly summarize some key takeaways of your keynote?
Biggest takeaway, and that is a slide which I actually don't comment on, is that before you start automation, you first have to think, what am I going to automate? Should I automate it? And in which way am I going to automate it? I think that's very important. Just going for aim at one possible automation, I think will not bring you the goals which you actually would like to achieve. So I think when there's one thing people should take away from my speech, then it's that. And of course we had again then the entire walkthrough what we did within Credit Suisse, where you can make choices, but that is actually more up to the organizations themselves, which choices then they can make. They're not, when you think thoroughly, there are not too many bad choices you can do as long as you keep thinking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how has your workforce reacted to these changes?
Because it's a federated approach, I was not always direct in contact with the workforce. In most of the divisions, they took it well, because we know it's about people. We know that change is difficult, and you have to take them on that journey. And a lot went very well, I have to say. And in some cases, the people adopted it very well. They even came with their own ideas and their own initiatives to improve, because it's for them also an efficiency gain. They can do other stuff. And so, of course, in some cases, you have to say it's because of redundancy. But then you have to be fair, and you have also to take these people into your journey and be open and transparent of what you're doing.
So engage the whole.
Always
whole
engage
company.
the people. Yes.
And what expectations do you have for the rest of the conference? What outcomes would you like to achieve by exchanging knowledge with the other participants?
It's always nice, because these kind of meetings have been done already for a while. And because of the matureness of cognitive and RPA, there's quite some repetitiveness in the presentations. That's good. That's actually quite good. So what you're looking for is that one thing where you think, oh, that's something which I didn't thought about, and you can start then a discussion with this person. And that is what I like the most, the combination of viewing a person's or a presentation with the insights, getting something which I think it's new, and then in the network talk about it and see if that really means and can mean something for Credit Suisse.
And if you also can learn something new here.
Absolutely.
I hope so. Thank you so much for taking time for the interview, and I wish you
Thank
great
you.
conference days. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Cheers.